Bill reported, it's been another great year. I was thinking as he was talking that a couple of years ago we had a internal slogan. We tend to have these as corporations do, and it was embracing change, and we all had hats, and staff all thought I was crazy because all the things I wanted to do, and we've actually done pretty well. I want to talk a little bit about that relative to change. But what we've seen in the last 2 years, maybe embracing uncertainty should be our motto, because of the fact that we've done exceptionally well at probably one of the most complex and challenging business environments that are out there. And I think really we have a business that's been able to respond to that extremely well. Bill also talked about the brand identity. We have a whole new excitement and enthusiasm in the organization because of that. We have a totally different way of looking at ourselves. We feel better about what we do. We feel stronger about it. People are looking at us differently. People stop me on the streets and go, when are you guys not going to be in the newspaper? Those kinds of things have never happened before for us. So to have that kind of recognition from people outside us, and we're delivering better. We're improving on the way we deliver because we feel better about what we do, because we're starting to really recognize it through that branding. As you look through the annual report that you have in front of you, one of the things that you're going to see is that we are in more locations, both in terms of actual facilities and projects, than we have ever been in. And this is part of our strategy to be proximate, to be right next to our customers, and also have this broader global reach and be able to reach out into other projects in other areas and such. So this graphic you see, actually, those are the pins where we either have locations or projects out there. I've been asked multiple times, mostly by staff, why is it important to grow? And if you look on this map, there's 2 pins that are yellow, and they're on North Kansas City and Charlottesville. And we purchased both of those facilities this last fiscal year. And the reason we need to grow is this is a business of single-digit margins. And you need a lot of growth to get income to buy buildings, by example. And last year, a lot of our income went to those 2 facilities. In the last month, we have won $300 million over the next 5 years of research contracts because we bought those 2 buildings. So that's a testament to the board. It's a good ROI for all of you investors and bankers in the room. And it really is an indication of where this business is going. Speaking of staff, being that they question that, the other question I get asked the most is, how are the staff responding to all this change that's going on in the organization? I mean, you see things like logos and such, but the board and others are getting exposure to a lot of changes in this company, different business model. And I think one of the best indicators is turnover. And this graphic shows generically where our turnover was just 3 years ago, and we've cut it in half in the last 2 years, which are the 2 years that we've made this change. I have a lot of staff who don't think this is the best indicator. They actually think our success in the Kansas City Corporate Challenge is the measure of how we're doing. And we won our division this year for the first time in 8 years. P1 Group is here. J.E. Dunn is here. You guys were in our division. Sorry, we'll see you next year. But that's another indication of the culture and how the staff are responding. All right, we're a science technology organization. Let's talk some science and technology. Our impact continues to strengthen in making sure this is a safe, secure, healthy, sustainable world. That's what we do for a living. That's a great mission to have. It's a great way to wake up in the morning knowing that's what you're going to do. In the military side of things, the defense side, and protecting our military, protecting our homeland, that is our key, strongest area. That's where we have the majority of our business. There's a number of areas, but I'm just going to talk about a couple. So one example is understanding medical issues that soldiers are facing in the field, in the environment. And so one of the things that we figured out was that there's actually a genetic link. There was a genetic susceptibility in soldiers that became ill with Gulf War illness. So that would be an example of something that maybe you haven't heard us talk about that's more on the life sciences side of our business. We provide state-of-the-art methods to test new military equipment. And this is the latest and greatest picture of one of our robots. It's a little scary looking, but that's a robotic soldier, essentially, that's used to test protective suits for the military. We also do real-time science and engineering. Bill mentioned this briefly in high conflict areas. We have mobile labs in a number of locations. These are mobile labs out in what's called a green zone adjacent to a hostile area, one you would probably read about in the paper that I can't tell you where it is. But this is how our staff live for 90 days at a time. Last year, we had 120,000 man-hours in these hostile zones managing and operating these laboratories. I mean, that is a significant contribution from staff who are scientists and engineers at this company. One of the recent wins that we had in this defense area that I'd like to talk about, because those of you who were here last year, I talked about our new business model. And it's called the High Containment Facility. It was funded out of the Army. And it was a $25 million project. And it's essentially to design, build a state-of-the-art research facility. And this is a new area for us, and it's another indication of us being comfortable kind of going that next step, competing with the big guys and being in a position where we have confidence to do this. You know, I like the project because we beat our rival. They had the project before us and we took it away. But I really like it because it's proved out that mission that we talked about earlier. Okay, switching to energy, we're very proud of our reputation for focusing on rotting material like pond scum and chicken poop. You've probably seen that in the paper, and that's something to be very proud of. We also maintain our leadership position in critical areas such as high-value fuels and different products from algae. Yes, it's a bit scary. These are the scientists that maintain our leadership position in this picture in that algae field. We also just recently authored, we have some folks here from the state of Missouri, we recently offered a paper for the state of Missouri looking at the Boot Heel as a potential region of this country, and a very viable region, it turns out, for the production of algae in volume that can be used for fuel for military planes and other types of vehicles. In solar, with our help of our friends at Burns & McDonnell who are here tonight, we built and designed and built what is one of the world's largest solar test facilities out in Aurora, Colorado. This solar tech facility now has 6 members. They're competitors, but they work side by side with the ultimate goal of advancing technologies to the marketplace. These technologies they're bringing on site are actually market-ready technologies. They're there to look at seasonal changes, and they compare data between themselves. So this is a collaborative environment that we manage and operate. This picture is actually of our newest system, which is not there yet. We just acquired it. It's 3,000 mirrors. It's called a heliostat, that are all focused on a single point in taking the sun's energy to a single point and generating heat. If you can imagine, it's 4 acres of mirrors, all moving with the sun. We also continue to lead in building efficiency. At the center of the picture that you see here of the NREL campus, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, is the research support facility. That's the one with sort of the 3 prongs coming out of it. That is the most energy efficient facility in the country, potentially in the world. Both the New York Times and Wall Street Journal said it, so it's not just me. That building generates more energy than it uses, and it has 1,000 occupants in the facility. So imagine that. It actually is an energy producer, even though it operates as a normal office facility with 1,000 people in the building. If you recognize those little blue boxes, the little containers just to the right that are kind of that iridescent blue with the white lettering, they look a lot like J.E. Dunn facilities. They are. J.E. Dunn Construction won a contract to build right next door to the RSF, to your right, what will be the most advanced energy research facility in the world. And it's probably a third of the way up at this point in time coming out of the ground, and Kansas City's own J.E. Dunn is building that for us at NREL. And yes, absolutely. In life sciences and human health, we had several crucial wins this year. We won a $30 million program with the National Toxicology Program, and what does that mean to you? That's studying product additives, food supplements, herbal products, all those things that we encounter as consumers on behalf of the National Institutes of Health. So when you're out there buying that Kava Kava or a Ginkgo biloba or whatever it might be on the shelf, you know that you've got MRIGlobal behind you. If you're worried about that bisphenol A you hear is leaching out of plastic water bottles, and what does that mean for me? MRIGlobal is ahead of that, working for the government in that program. That success with that program led to an announcement some of you may have seen in the last few weeks, where we won a $28 million program with the National Cancer Institute to manage and operate and study a repository for cancer prevention. This is an extremely large win for us, an attractive win, and again, it was part of those yellow pins that you saw. If we didn't have the facility in North Kansas City, we would not have been able to actually get that in place. In the annual report, you'll see equally as significant contributions in environmental science, agricultural science, food safety, transportation research, all the other things we do. I'm not going to go through all of them, but that gives you a taste of the science and technology piece of things. We have a lot of corporate leadership in the room, and I suspect, like me, you spend a lot of time looking at your business and what makes you successful and what are the differentiators that would cause a 55% growth in 2 years, that kind of thing. Obviously, you have to have a good team. You have to have a lot of good capabilities. But I really feel strongly it's not as much what we do, because there are a lot of organizations that are out there that do what we do, and they do it very well. But it's how we do it. It's how we behave when we work with these customers. And when times become tough financially and otherwise, they're going to come to the people that they want to work with. So I thought I'd just give you just a handful of examples of sort of these behaviors that I see in this transformation of this company. I see us moving more from offering services to delivering solutions, moving from a transactional way of thinking about the business to really a relational way of thinking about the business, a relational mindset in what we do. We truly value strategic partnerships. We finally have convinced ourselves we're not the best at everything. We actually need other people to help us be successful, and that's very important. We have several of them in the room. We've got K-State here, we've got Texas Tech here, UMKC is here, Burns and McDonnell, I mentioned many others who are strategic partners with us on these key programs. We're helping shape decisions in Washington. My good friend Jerry Moran is here tonight, and he listens to what I have to say about some key issues. I'm going to talk about one that's very important to me. We are shaping them. We are giving them an education on what's important relative to science and technology and where the federal government should play. We're embracing that we're better than our competitors. Again, we're all from the Midwest. It's hard for us to be that way. It's kind of the hiding that Bob does of being that modest, quiet Bob Kipp, but really knowing what he's doing when he's going through the process. It's the same thing here. We needed to feel more confident about what we do, and we've embraced that. We've embraced that we outbehave the competition. You know, our strategy is execution with the right attitude. That is what this company does. We have an evolving board. Bill talked a little bit about that. It's a board that takes us very seriously as a business enterprise, fiercely loyal to our unique sustainable advantage. We had a board meeting this morning, and it was a fantastic meeting, and they are keeping the management team in the direction we're going on our toes. We're taking the right risks. We know that uncertainty is part of that. When you're in innovation, you have to know that uncertainty is going to be there, and we're taking those risks to be successful. We're being more targeted and more strategic on our focus here in Kansas City. Rather than having sort of a broad brush of everything that we could be doing here, we're defining our swim lanes and what we believe we should be doing here, where we can have the greatest local impact and focus specifically on those areas. So that impact is larger on fewer projects, but is significant going forward. And finally, we're giving back to the community at unprecedented levels. From our dramatic growth and charitable contributions, this is the United Way contributions over the last few years and the change in our curve. We've done 2 Habitat houses as well, and also our investment in community organizations like Science Pioneers, Bridging the Gap, Harvesters, UMKC trustees, and tons more. That continues to grow. That's both from a staff and a corporate level.